Hello, I'm here with Matteo. You are Andrea's brother, who I talked to about a month ago. And yeah, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you are passionate about?
Yeah, thank you, Willis, and it's a pleasure to be on your channel. Um, yeah, I am based in Switzerland, and I work as a physical therapist at the base. And what my vision I'm creating, that I'm working on too, is based on men's work spaces that I have been navigating for the last two and something year, 2.5 years, and it's been mainly with an association from the States, from the United States, the Sacred Sons, and now with other men's work organization, I'm diving deeper and more into this role of facilitator and um, yeah, I would say host of these kind of spaces. So what really motivates me is this integral approach. That's why also um, my idea, my website, and my business that I'm creating is called Integral. So the idea of growing integrally and growing integrally as a man and as human in general. And that has different aspects. That has different aspects individually. That has different aspects communally. And so that this relationship between our physical, for example, the emotional and the spiritual, those aspects are available to us. And so for me, is to help men to connect more authentically with themselves and with those areas and find their own ways to relate. And I also believe, as I said, as an integral level, because I believe that um, it's the way we have constructed our Western society. There is a lot of disconnection, and I think it's quite obvious in the way we can analyze things, analyze the trends, analyze our current uh, political systems, views, these oppositions that we have often. And for me, it's about recreating a culture and re-envisioning something new, something that is more connected with these ancestral ways that has been on this planet since the dawn of time. So how to re-envision a life here um, in these old ways, but how to make them new again, you know?
So, how do you envision society or community being different, or how do you see it evolving ideally?
Well, I mean, there are there is the reality of how things are, and I think we have many positive things that have advanced our society, the ability that we are in connection right now, many um, positive tools that we can use, the advancement with AI and all of these things that we're expanding on these possibilities of what we are able to create. And at the same time, I think we have traded um, and we have, as humans, we have chosen certain structures where the profit, the gains, and all of that is at the center. We need advancement in order to keep this going forward, and we need people selling. We need a market. We need all these kind of things that is built around the way we live. And so I think we end up internalizing a certain transactional behaviors, right? I'm here because I want that from you. You want that from me. And so for me, I see that we can move beyond those ways and we can reclaim our own sovereignty as individuals. So I think it is possible to be uh, abundantly uh, full with the nourishment of the earth, plants, all of these kind of things, and as well be able to share our knowledge, share in a space with other people that are nourished by what we can give and what they are giving us. So there is a certain type of exchange um, that doesn't necessarily need me to win, and this necessary competition that is created from the yeah, from the capital system, right? So I see that um, I think I have my own desires of what I wish for, and I see the reality how things are. So I think that I I want to bring like my torch forward as long as I can and leave it to the next generation. So this is what I can do. You know, I I think the change cannot be just in my own life, but it needs to be moved forward and carried through the future. You know. So if I would just say what could be ways to how this vision would be come to life, I think that it's hard to say in a few words, but I think there is a place of independence, of more autonomic communities where there is where we are going back to learn things that we used to know, the culture we're carrying around, carrying certain knowledge, certain stories, myth about life. We used to um, know how to relate, know how to use the plants, know with in the relationship with all of this. So I think for me, I want to be a carrier of that change.
What have you gotten the most out of through men's work? How has it helped you the most?
I think that it gave me an understanding that it exists, that this space exists. So for me, just stepping into a place of masculine alchemy, of transformation with other men, where all of what you're bringing is welcome, where you're allowed to be, and and there are certain expectations, there are certain agreements, right? So there is a it's a space that doesn't necessarily exist elsewhere. So I think for me, one of the biggest thing that um, these spaces brought me is that the the clarification of this existence of these places. So the manifestation in real life that there are men out there that is possible to trust. There are places where you can open up, where you can share your light, where you can be seen in your fragility, or in your shadow, or in all of that. So it gave me a clear felt sensation of what it means to be seen and valued um, by men that I respect.
Was there what parts of you did you were you most judgmental of, or that you least accepted about yourself, maybe prior to being involved in this space?
I think a big part of me um, was not accepting my inner need of recognition, my inner need of attention. So there was a part of me that was negating that I was already um, where I needed to be and all of this. So I think I was lacking compassion with myself, and um, and I think um, by that way, by that understanding that it is normal to desire, that is a necessary step of evolution to be seen as an individual, to be seen as who you are and being recognized for what you're doing. And um, and then the next step has been claiming my space, right? So there is these two aspects, like I can um, I see that through the eyes of others, like, oh, okay, this is real, this is happening, uh, I am needed, I am here, there is my value. And then I am claiming my own spot, my own place, as an individual. So I think that for me, in my own story, because every story is different, right? And my own story was more about um, claiming my own sovereignty, independence, and yeah, I think that, I don't know if there is also some models that they talk about consciousness development, etc. And I think that um, there are different levels where we need to develop, and we can get to higher understanding of life and the way we can relate with the systems. And I think at a certain level, there is this need of individuation, need of being assertive and empowerment, basically. That if it doesn't develop, then it's gonna there's all these imbalances that is gonna try to get this piece from somewhere else. But if that is missing, then the rest cannot develop well. So I think that was the main thing. Um, yeah, this understanding of unity and brotherhood, and connection with myself, with my own mission.
I kind of mentioned that what had partly driven me in the past to kind of get into this work and the space was a disconnection I felt with my older brother and with my older male cousins, and my dad when I was a kid. And I wondered if you had a kind of similar experience with feeling some kind of disconnection with like the older men in your family that also kind of pushed
Mhm,
you into the space,
mhm.
or if you had.
Yeah, I mean, I think at a certain level, as soon as we are entering this space, I think at the first thing, we all have wounds. We all have, like, things to heal and things to. So there isn't that human being that is gonna be like, oh, I'm perfect, you know. So at a certain level, we all have our stories. We all have our places where love has been missing, where attention has been missing, where all of that. And I think for my personal story, it has been the being understood, of being seen for who I am, has been missing from my father figure, more than from my brother. Uh, I think that was um, different. I was not necessarily uh, searching that recognition for him. I guess at the lower level, at one younger level, I was looking that for my father figure. Um, but I think that um, in our family constellation, I took the space of the listener for a while as I grew up, the space of the observer, the listener, the understanding, the glue a little bit for things. And so throughout the changes in the last decade or whatever, it has been a lot about um, severing certain um, expectation and certain roles and heavy mask that we needed to play, and more empowering into who I am, essentially. Don't know if it relate to your story or not.
Um, yeah, I that was kind of my next question was if you felt like being the listener was a mask or some something a role you had to play for your family, because I have kind of a different experience where I feel myself, the more that I'm in touch with myself, like this is what who I am. I love to listen. I love to do podcasts and interview and talk, have one-on-one conversations. So it's did it stem from like a wound maybe, but I don't experience it as a mask, and that's I guess that was my question to you. Is it
Hmm.
seemed like you
Uh,
experienced that mask in a way.
yeah, no. I mean, listening. I mean, this is all parts of being a facilitator. I think that's your necessary act is being able to be present, be able to receive, listen, perceive, all of that. That's part of the skill. And it's also part of what I have been mastering in the understanding of human processes and changes when I am present with someone. So this has been a gift that I have been given to refine those skills. And at the same time, it was the only place where I could be. So there wasn't the other side. So there was a missing part of this is my voice, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am. And regardless of whatever is the opinion of that person, the expectation of the family or whatever, you know?
Okay, so as I understand it, now you feel like you are more able to like share what you want to do or what you feel, what you think, and take action
Yeah.
on it.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, that is um, part of the process of evolution of this integration, right? Like I think in any story, whether it's a search for empowerment, it's a search for openness, it's a search for um, having more empathy. Like there are different. We also in men's work we use archetypes, for example, as a guide to understand where someone is at. As it's a good structure. For example, the certain four archetypes of the warrior, the magician, the king, and the lover. So a man at a certain place in his life can be not missing completely the lover, so it's not feeling at all from it's not disconnected from his own feeling, for example, or he doesn't have that warrior, doesn't have the boundary, so he's saying yes to everything. Right? So there are all these possibilities in the stories that we can hear and we can acknowledge. So I think for me, it's definitely in that process of embodying who I am, understanding what I'm here to do, and bringing it forward. So for me, it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, okay, I have my own opinion, I can speak what I want. No, it's embodying the full authenticity of who I am and bringing it out there. I think that's a long process that takes in life, like taking forward steps forward of here is who here I am, and having more confidence and understanding that uh, um, that is an evolution, that is a continuous cycle and growth, and it's for life. Yeah.
Do you see any weaknesses in the men's work space or any
Oh yeah,
places
for
that,
sure.
if what?
Um, you mean in the organizations, in the leaders that they lead? In what do you mean?
It could be the organization, it could be in the leadership, and it could be in the participants, it could be in the methods, it could
Yeah,
be in anything that you witness.
yeah. I think the mm, mm, mm.
or even the culture, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I think the what what can happen is inside of a structure um, of any type, not necessarily men's work, but in any organization, there are. It's like an organism, right? Like if boundaries are not clear, if they are loose, things they start to move in different ways. If structures are too tight, there is no space for changes. So I think the main thing is the way we are organizing, how we are dividing roles of responsibility, and how we are dividing and structuring based on our agreements. So I think how we navigate integrity, like um, how are you showing up? How is it your life representation of what you're speaking, and are you embodying what you want to bring? Is the desire to help at the main core thing, or is it a business? Like there are all these things that can influence a space. So I think the most important thing is that the spaces are the most pristine, the most safe, the most uh, uh, guided, and the most well organized possible. So I think this is in order for the participants that they can come in and feel safe, feel this is a place for me as well. I am really welcome here. And I think often in all these things, the big weakness is the integration. So the piece that um, I think it's important to focus on and to stress about is the integration. So you can have a peak experience. We can have a certain, doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be men's work, but we can have a strong experience, whether if it's psychedelic or not, or whatever that is. And then we have a fragmentation of the self, of who we are, and these new understandings coming in. And then there is the need of a place to hold that. And so how do we create an integration? So I think this is a really important part. Like you realize certain things, how you're going to put it in practice, how you're going to stay accountable to what you're saying, how you're going to stay accountable to the realization that you had during this experience.
so how would you improve the integration aspect of these like retreats or experiences?
I think so far I've seen quite good structures. There are containers that are online. There are like weekly calls. Um, I think that if I would, it depends on the situation. Like if it's the best way would be having an ongoing circle of brothers of men that keep joining and have the chance to step in again and to be seen and be heard and all of this, which is in presence. So this is I would think, the best way. But often in these spaces, we are meeting somewhere and then we're dispersing again. So I think the only way is to do that online. And for me, to ensure that, I would include a clear structure of 8 to 10 weeks where a person really has the step and the chance to step in and is really required to be honest and hold these agreements, right? Because if we're saying, like, we're talking, we say, okay, I want to change all of this. I realize it's an echelon, and I need to meditate, whatever that is. And you're making that, you're going to do 5 minutes a day. you need someone. So there is often we use this accountability person. So there is another person that is checking in with you and is asking you how is the process, and um, yeah, he's checking in with you how is the integration going.
Do
Yeah.
you have a specific activity that you found most useful in this kind of space?
Activity related to integration, or what do you
Just
mean?
anything for transformation.
Um, I think um, I think there are different ways we can bring our evolution. So I think we can do it on an individual level. So there is that kind of self development and the things, the structure, the discipline, all those things that we can do ourselves. The reflection, writing, journaling, all these techniques are, I think, great. Um, and to have deeper change and to have deeper realization, I think we need to go. We need to be seen. We need to be held. We need to be challenged. That piece of having men around. In this case, men. It can be women in a women's circle, whatever. But having that confrontation or um, support, that is paramount, because your the reflection allows yourself to um, this reflection, allows this new part that is coming up, this rebirth, this change, etc., to be consolidated, because there is um, yeah, it's like a mirror effect. It's like if you put a light where there are a lot of mirrors, it starts to go everywhere, right? So it's the same thing. So I think I wouldn't say a specific exercise. I think um, I have seen different therapies. I've seen different facilitators, and I think that the skills that they embody, the person that I have respected the most, or like I've seen that mastery level, is because they have spent years being in that space and exposing themselves, doing the work themselves, and like putting themselves on keeping working on themselves, and at the same time exploring new ways, new therapies, and new models, and putting in practice, and like this, like it's a mastery process, like any other musician or any other art or any other thing. So it becomes an art, and I think that's where the magic happens.
Hmm. Ooh, do you have a favorite
How
memory
is it?
from what's up?
How is it for you? I was curious about how it is for you. Like, how did you interact with men's work? Was it was it through events, or was it more as like online thing, or it's yourself? You dove into topics like books and stuff. How was it for you? I'm just curious.
Well, I think growing up, like before all of this, I was in team sports, so basketball was kind of what I played growing up, and that was like a boys, guys team. Then I was in the military, I was in an infantry battalion, so it was like 800 men at that time. It was just men. Um, Even though there were like other women in the military and other parts of the base, but for our unit itself. And then, so I was kind of always somewhat attracted to or drawn to these kind of like men's environments. Um, then did like yeah some men's groups in person. Did online men's groups. Did some led some events in person and online myself. Um, I don't think I ever did like a long men's retreat though, in person. Yeah, it was always just like events for like a day. It was never like a week long thing. Trying to
Hmm.
think, nothing like that. So yeah, a lot of the work that I did in healing um, kind of coexisted with women, and then my previous partner, she was like doing more women's work, and I was working more with men. But it was never like, yeah, there's always still kind of like women around.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if that answered your
What did you
question.
find? Yeah, yeah. Well, it's just curious about what was for you that what brought the benefits of these men's spaces. Like,
Mm.
what's for you that you were like drawn to?
For me, I think being more in touch with my emotions,
Hmm.
a lot of also rewiring or retelling of stories of the past. So kind of creating more empowering beliefs or stories of past events,
Hmm.
deeper connection to spirituality. I would say more at peace with myself,
Hmm. Yeah.
and generally like less stress, more connection, but at the same time less money. So I'm still figuring that part out. And that when I went
Hmm.
through my spiritual awakening, my finances took a dip.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel more connected to and understanding of like my role in my biological family. So I was kind of avoidant of that in my
Hmm.
20s, early part of my 20s. So and that was also the question that I wanted to ask you was like, did you have experiences where like kind of the joke of spirituality ruined my life or whatever? People sometimes Google that because you go through this period of um, deprogramming, like deconditioning, questioning, uh, and it's like it almost feels that in a moment that like your life gets worse. And so I was like, if you had that experience, and if so, what was it like for you?
For sure, for sure. I mean, and thank you for sharing your story. Um, I would say to reply to this, I would talk about Greek tragedy. I don't know if mythology, and throughout history we always told stories, and stories they also had um, cycles. They had a certain positive, a certain downfall, and the structure is always different, right? It can be up, down, and then finishing, and there are different stories that repeats. But the idea of telling those stories was to understand that it's a natural part of life. I think that the certain going into the depths and making the journey to the underworld, making the painful realization and all of that is a necessary part of life. Unfortunately, I think the narratives, the stories that we receive in this culture with certain movies, etc., there is a this pushing to the positive, to be best, to be the hero, to always be the main guy, and to always get it together, and always. and even more if you're a man, right? Like you need to be the protagonist. You always need to get your shit together and all of that. So there is an avoidance of anything that can resemble like, oh, I'm falling, I'm losing, I don't feel good, and all of this. And so, but sometimes it's not up to us. I think sometimes it's just um, what is been decided or whatever that however you want to see it, whatever that spiritual kind of metaphor you want to use. But I think that we are talking about forces of nature. I think that these ups, downs, and these cycles are necessary. They are replenishing. They are bringing new life. So I think often what we see is that we see people that they want to block those parts. They don't want to face something. They don't want to go in the depths. They don't want to feel depressed. Or they don't want to feel all of this. So there is like this avoidance from the emotion, from all of this. So I think coming to me, I think um, it just came to me that a certain uh, depression or a certain feeling of being disconnected from all around and not understanding and looking for answers and finding new ways and doing events of meditation, learning techniques and going out and all of this. I think uh, it's a necessary search to find new ways, new parts of ourselves. So I think that is um, yeah. I think that it's actually that's where the healing comes from, right? In many of the history, many of the stories, like the healing doesn't come from when we are like, oh, and we are perfect. No, it comes from where we are down and we need to strip away clothes and we need to lose things and we need to find new ones. And I think that can only comes to that that real confronting um, that reality of confronting what is happening, right? Yeah.
Do you have, because from what I understood, your brother is quite drawn to Asian or Chinese culture, language,
Mhm.
etc. Do you have something similar? Maybe not for Asian, but for some other part of the world?
Uh, I I loved Asia. I traveled as well in Asia quite a bit. I liked different cultures. I think I have a general drawn to different cultures. Just different ways of doing things. I love it. Um, I am right now. I think I am drawn to um, like indigenous or uh, traditional places around the world, like where they are keeping this tradition of devotion to their own practice with with integrity. So I think I'm attracted to that. Like when I see like people who are practicing their own spiritual thing in their own place, where there is a connection to the spiritual forces, nature, all of that. I think that does something to me in that sense because it's yeah, it recalls me to something uh, that I didn't have growing up.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I see 5 years. Hmm. I see myself as a more skilled and wiser facilitator, and like um, yeah, helper of people who wants to go to transformative journey. And I see that I'm living from my own business, from Integral. Um, yeah, leading my own events and participating in other events from other organizations, and so helping, for example, in Europe to create these events, spaces, men gathering. I see that, and I see, as I said, more financial freedom.
Do you have like a mission statement, a mission
Yeah,
essential
we
for your life?
we wrote it down in the past. Um, uh, there was one thing that was a part of the as another organization which I participated in an event as a Mankind Project. They run events of men's work around the world, and one of the things was running your mission statement. But I mean, it always changes. But I think that the main thing was along the line that as a man amongst men, um, I am here to recreate initiatory and transformational spaces. Yeah.
What would you say are your greatest strengths and weaknesses?
I think greatest go from the weakness first. Um, I think weakness is uh, difficulty to um, with certain structure. I think to be uh, with structures and planning things and sticking to that thing. Um, I think I still have place margin to grow, and um, I think another thing about weakness is being sometimes too hard on myself. Um, so there is margin to learn, more compassion for myself, um, and strength. I think I have a facility. I have easy access to navigate deep spaces. So I don't have any problem to have deep conversation, to talk about anything with anybody. Um, I and I think yeah that I have a lot of energy and a lot of passion for life. I think that's my main thing. This faith in life.
Faith in life.
Yeah,
So it was that what you said?
yeah, faith in life. Yeah.
Right. If you could only gift one book for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
If I could keep one book or I could give one book.
Only give one book, like as a gift.
Yeah. Hmm. One. I think if it would be one book, I think it would be the well, depending on the language of the person, but I think it would be the Tao Te Ching.
Okay.
Uh, as it has so much. Yeah, I think it can be such a good place to go back to and to always find uh, new inspiration. It's one of those books, right? Like so uh, they are alive. There's so much in it that they are alive. You know, you always open something and you always find something new. Yeah, I don't think it would be the book that I would uh, give right now because I'm reading other stuff. But if I would have to give one book, I think that would be this one.
What's been your biggest or newest takeaway from that book?
I think at the moment I don't necessarily I would say that if I um, would talk about something um, that inspire me right now from a book, I would say the book actually from for men's work, Iron John, and this is a book about uh, um, basically men initiatory journey, a whole story, and so I think that is what comes up as a book that gave me a lot of inspiration. And I think one thing that I would take away from that book is so much. um, yeah, I think is the picture of the wild man because in the story, it's a long story, but uh, there is a little boy that needs to go out from the castle and go out in the forest and etc. And he meets the wild man, and the wild man is in the end a representation of a certain part of ourselves. And so I think for me it was that representation of the wild man. How am I in connection with that wild man or not? So it's a great place to uh, have that conversation.
What advice would you give to yourself from 10 years ago?
I would simply say it's okay. It's all good. It's um, take your time. You're on the right path, and things are just perfect the way they are.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite quote?
Hmm. Favorite quote. I think what comes up is the ah. I think I'm gonna be butchering the quote. I think it's from Jung, and something about um, the realization of the shadow is like an important thing in life because um, I need to go back to it, but it's basically about that. If we don't realize that we're gonna call the shadow, all of that we're gonna call it fate, but it's also in our power to change things. So I think if people who are watching, you can search it, and it's a quote from Jung.
I think it's something like, if we don't make the unconscious conscious,
There you go.
then we will direct our life and we will call it fate. Fate, something
There
something
you
like
go.
that.
Thank you.
I didn't have it perfect either, but
Yeah,
it's a good one.
I think we got we got up to there. That was good.
Okay. So the last guest, or one of the last guests, left a question for the next guest, not knowing who it will be. I got this from Dario CEO. So the last guest was, the question was, what's the last time you really experienced a broader sense of love? A broader, like bigger, broader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh, I think today when I just stopped and hugged my girlfriend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there a question you would like to leave for the next guest?
Ooh. um, what is the mask you carry in your daily life, and how do you hide in that mask into your daily life? How do you use it to not show yourself?
Would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the my own mask is to um, there are different ones. There's not only one, but um, I think in certain spaces I want to look like I got it all together. So there's certain perfectionism, like I got it, etc. Um, and that actually shields me from um, really relating with someone else. So it's a it's a needed um, story, right? Like all of these masks, I think we all created them at a certain time in our life to survive, and so they keep being alive because there is no time in our psyche. The 5-year-old is alive here and all of that. So those stories they keep being alive until we keep evolving and transmuting that they can leave and we create new ones. So I think that's more opening, more compassion, more growth.
Nice. Is there anything else that you want to share or promote or request from whoever might be
Yeah,
viewing this?
I'm curious. I'm curious from you, like, what is your vision? Like, I'm curious to know from you, like, what are you working on and what are your plans? Are you planning to be there in Taiwan, or like, what are you? Oh, is it your vision related to this channel? Like, what are you planning, quote unquote?
Yeah, so for me, I I do plan on being in Taiwan for the foreseeable future.
Mhm.
I feel a sense of responsibility for the place that has kind of given so much to me and my family. Um, I have different missions or like intentions that intersect. So, like one thing that I would love to contribute to is like the healing within like myself, obviously, but in with my family, especially between my dad and his brother. But they're another generation, and I'm the youngest in my family, so kind of they kind of see me as a kid. So just navigating that, and I know that's just something that hopefully comes with time. Um, Continuing, like I love coaching, and I'm coaching basketball right now for middle schoolers. So I love kind of that mentorship aspect of working with teenage boys, and not so much about the sport itself. It's about like teamwork and communication and emotional regulation, which all comes from this kind of environment and things that I got out of playing that team sport that I hope to share with the next generation. So I would hope to continue to do that. Um, Through this podcast, it's kind of I like having one-on-one conversations, and hopefully the message that people receive is that you can have a good, meaningful conversation just by being interested in the other person and asking genuine questions that you might be curious about. So
Hmm.
Mm. So that's just something that I do in my normal life, anyways. And it's just like I might as well do like some kind of podcast out of it.
Mm. Nice.
And just seeing how this like yeah, just seeing how this men's work space and process overlaps with greater society and kind of yeah, what can be integrated. And then I'm also curious about how it can be integrated into like existing religions as well. So like in Taiwan, there's the local religion, but then also Christianity is kind of I guess the second bigger religion. And so how can I blend like men's work type stuff or conscious community, spiritual community with like therapy, more like modern, like not modern, but the kind of mainstream form of therapy with like
Yeah.
established religions. So I'm still in a quest to
Mm.
understand the intersection of all of that and
Good.
where I fit in. I do like facilitating, although I don't enjoy it full time. I like doing it once in a while, but I would much rather like connect, like meet people and take people to a facilitator, which there's yeah. So I'm just still trying to figure that part out as well, because I
Mm.
do love introducing like um, people in society, let's say, or men in society to this kind of alternative space, which is not really
Yeah.
big in Taiwan.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like I think Taiwan's an interesting place because it's kind of conservative, it's kind of traditional, and as a society, I guess compared to other ones I've seen in my limited travels, I guess it works pretty well. Are people happy? I don't know. Um, Maybe they feel trapped, but I don't
Hmm.
think there's like a big like a lot of people taking like antidepressants though. There is a lot of drinking. Um, I don't think suicide is too high, but I'm just trying to understand like sometimes when how much how because it's hard to get like millions of people to cooperate and create a functioning in community. It's like
Hmm.
with introducing like things make things worse. Like to what extent, right? So
Hmm.
I'm just yeah, and I think it's just something that takes time, and um, I guess people could be more attuned to themselves emotionally, and maybe it's just a shift with technology as well, right? Like as AI and robotics becomes more prevalent, like maybe a lot of the manual labor or things that people are doing now has already been replaced, but will continue to be replaced. And as the technological shifts happen, then these kind of societal changes will also happen, where not less fewer and fewer people have to work in those kind of jobs, and then there's more time or space available, and all this stuff. So I think it's not one isolated like thing. I think it all kind of happens in this at the same time, like simultaneously in a very complex manner. So I'm just kind of being present, trying to be present to it all, and then understanding like where do I fit in to this emerging reimagination of both Taiwanese and global like culture and community. I don't know. It
Yay.
sounded very broad what
Amen.
I said.
No, it was great. It was great.
I'm just one ant in the colony. So
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Ants are very important. So very important to the whole ecology, to the whole system. So prayers to your mission.
yeah,
May you find the right way to navigate the water.
Thank you. You as well. It sounds like you're on a good path. I know it's
Yeah.
full of
Uh,
challenges, but it's life.
yeah. That's the journey. I think that's the beauty in the beauty and the hard part. And yeah, maybe one day if we'll be in Asia, we'll bring some events over there or whoever, however it might be. I think they were planning on. I think Sacred Sun was planning to be bringing some events over in Asia, so I'll
Nice.
let you know in case.
Yeah,
But yeah, I can send you what I my information for whoever is interested in this. You
yeah.
can write it in the description, and that's what I do. I'm gonna write more. That's the thing that I've just started recently using Substack
Hmm.
and like writing regularly. It's another thing that I like to do.
Hmm.
So
Awesome. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for your time.
thank you, thank
Best of
you.
luck.
谢谢，
Okay.
ciao ciao。
谢谢。